Hello and welcome to another video. My name is Brenda Onyango Kitui. I am a counseling psychologist and a hospitality lecturer. So today's video is a conversation. I am so excited. I have another special guest and I'm going to allow my special guest to introduce herself. After she has introduced herself, I'll introduce the topic, then we'll continue from there. So my very special guest, Karibu Sana. I'm so excited to have you here. Please introduce yourself.
Thank you so much, Brenda. Thank you for having me on board. I am grateful. My name is Nashami Wangara, Florence Nashami Wangara. Those are my three names. And I'm a hotelier by profession. I am also a response coordinator working under Joyce Meyer Ministries. I am a youth mentor. I work a lot with young people across the board. And well, they are my heartbeat. 24/7, I am given to young people. And on top of that, I am an author. I have done 2 books. And I think I am working on the 3rd one for this year already. And I'm excited. So it's so good to be here. Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much, Flo. Like I said, Flo, I'm so excited for you to be here. And Flo has told us she's an author, and that is why she's here today. I know so many people who want to write books, some who've even started writing the books, but they just don't know how to go about it. Yeah, they don't know what's the process from the time they write or the time they get the inspiration all the way to publishing and finally putting the book out there for people to buy. So since this channel is for helping you find a better way to navigate through life, today I want to help you navigate through life. If you are an author, an aspiring author, and you want to put some good stories, some educative content, some entertaining content in a book and sell it, Flo is here to help us with all of that. Yeah. So Flo, karibu sana. I am so glad that you're here. And I'm going to be asking you some questions. That's how we are going to go about it. Yeah, I'll ask you some questions, then you'll respond. And I know this content is going to inspire so many people and it's going to help so many people. Okay?
Sure.
All right. So I'll start with the first question. We see authors as people who've achieved a lot. We admire them. We want to be like them when we grow up. We hope we hope that one day we'll reach such levels of achievement. So just tell me, how does it feel to be an author, to be up there?
I remember when I was launching my first book, the keynote speaker told me, be ready to be called an author. And remember to always say you are an author. And I was like, okay. I was like, yeah, duh. But like it just feels good to have something added to your bio, like you introducing yourself and you say, I am this and this and this, and I am an author. It feels good to add that to your bio, because you don't just wake up and become an author. It's a process, it's a journey. So just being at that place where you have done 1 and 2 and you're still doing more, it's really something when you just get to let the world know that you are an author, that you have put thoughts together and put out in hard copy and soft copy everywhere. So yeah, it feels good.
Okay, I guess that's what we're expecting to hear. It feels good. And of course, we all want to feel that sense of achievement. Yeah. Yes. Okay. So thank you for that. And when did you know you can write? Was this like a childhood dream? Where did that come from?
Interesting question. Now, those of us that lived those days when we were in high school and people used to write each other letters, this generation won't understand. But we used to write lots and lots of letters. So I remember I was in Form 1 and my big brother was in Form 4 in a different school, of course. So we used to exchange letters a lot. And I would ensure maybe there is a school trip that size, or there is just, I just take it to the post office and stuff. So my brother kept all those letters. Well, I lost my letters. I don't have them. He still has them to date, by the way.
Wow.
So he would put the letters together. So when we get home during the holidays, he will pull out the letters I wrote to him. And he would read through and would tell me, I love the way you put your thoughts together. And I'm like, I'm just being me. I mean, I'm just writing letters to you. Just some letter. He was like, your way of putting words together is good. And then at some point when I was growing up, I remember still in primary and secondary school, I loved compositions that would warrant one to give a story. Those were my favorites. I would look forward. Don't give me a topic. I don't know, some recipe or some whatever. But a story I would write and write and write. And of course, in school, my favorite subjects were English literature and Kiswahili Fasihi. I just love stories generally. But now growing up, even after school, one of the things I tried, I realized I loved poetry, and I still do. So I would try and collect. I mean, I just sit down and come up with a poem. Funny enough, the most of the poems I used to write used to be to the men I used to love. They would inspire me, you know. You find inspiration and you write a poem and you send that letter to that guy, you know. It was so easy for me to do that. I would not like struggle, like have to think. No, it would just be an overflow. And then I shelved it. I was like, yeah, that was a season. But I remember, like, I think I would say 8 years ago, my brother the same brother would tell me, when are you writing a book? And I'm like, why? I have not thought of putting anything. I mean, I'm not an author. I don't aspire. And he said, that girl that used to write me letters in Mukumu is the same girl. Sometimes I read her posts on Facebook and I'm like, this thing is in you. You need to come up and just put something in a book. So I think after much thought, it wasn't really something I was looking forward to, I'll be honest. No, I talk a lot. I am easy in public speaking and just sharing stories. I don't mind that. But a book, I had never thought of it. So finally, when I resolved, and it was a struggle, which of course we'll talk in detail about my first book. It was not an easy book to write. But by the time I thought of putting that in a book, because it's basically my story, before I put it in a book, I had done a lot of talks, you know, just talking to people about my journey, my story. And many people would connect. They would connect. So I said, well, if authoring is a hard task, I don't think this one will be hard. I think we have something to write. Well, 2019, the year began, and I said, you know what? We are putting this story in a book and nothing is stopping us. And that is how our journey started.
Okay, how interesting. So it seems like this writing thing was in you and it was coming out every now and then. And even your brother was now pushing you, put it down. Yeah, okay, that's amazing. I'm sure there are so many people who can relate with that. Yeah. And now let me ask you the second question. What was your process like? Yeah, now you can tell me how the process was. Was it hard? Was it easy? What did you struggle with?
Well, when we finally decided to write a book in 2019, it's not that was the first time the thought of that book came to mind. The first time I thought about that particular book was actually way back in 2011. But I was hesitant. I said no. Because, you know, my first book, it's called My Story for His Glory. And basically, it's me opening my life to the world, like all the details, you know, bringing them out. So I was hesitant. I was like, I'm okay talking to people, but I'm not okay putting it in a book. Because something we have to appreciate about books is that you do not, once you have written and someone buys it, you have no control over that content. So it will go wherever it wishes to go, to whosoever, you know. And I was like, I am in Nairobi. I will write a book. That book will find its feet in some military camp in Afghanistan, you know. And I was not ready. I was not ready for that because I thought, actually, the first book I thought I should write was a devotional book. I said, a devotional book is fine. Yeah, that one is okay to write, but my story. So I really struggled with it. And every time I would think of the devotional, I never felt like this is it. It wasn't really, my heart wasn't excited about it. No. But for almost 8 years, thoughts are coming. I've actually, in 2012, I decided to start writing. I remember I didn't have a laptop, so I was writing on some foolscaps. I was writing. I think I did 2 chapters. I read through it and I said, Nashami, this is too much for the world. You can't put this in a book. And I tore those papers and threw away. I said, no, we can't do this. So in 2018, that's when I started feeling like, no, this book is not for you, lady. This book is for the world. Because sometimes that is one thing that authors need to appreciate, in as much as there is that which the writing experience does to us, but it is more to the people that will read it. The readers, the world needs that book. So when I finally decided to write the book, it wasn't a hard task. I think my greatest hurdle was making up the mind. That was the hurdle that took 8 years. But when finally made up my mind that this is it, let's just do this. I remember it was in January, and I gave myself a target. I told myself by May, we need to have finished the manuscript. And I started typing. You know, sometimes, this is funny, I would type and read again and delete. I thought it would be easy because, number one, it's my story. I'm not getting extra info from no one, but just the reality, like, this is going to be read. I'm like, not this part, I delete. And there will be places where I would give a story, I would like summarize a story, you know. And then I would feel, I need to give the details of this one. This one has to be raw and candid, because that is one of the things that inspired me to do that book, being raw and candid, not sugarcoating anything. So it was a process with mixed emotions and reactions and all that, because there are times I would delete, there's times I would get back and add, you know. But finally, we managed to put everything the way I had really wanted. I never left out anything. No, I said everything that I feel like putting in the book, we're going to put it out there and we will take it out there. So by the time I was almost done with the manuscript, I had started sourcing out, of course, for publishers, because I knew no publisher then. But I'm glad a friend of mine who is a peer to some prominent man that does books, she told me, I have someone. So that's how I met Aura Publishers, the guys that did my books. We got to talk. We agreed on the terms. And then I had to look for the money. The assumption, I think, irrespective, you know, there's always that bracket you have. It could cost this much. No, it was over my expectation. So I had to go back. I had to go back to the drawing board. But I was glad because there was some money I had saved somewhere, and I wasn't sure what I'm going to use it for. I knew that it will serve a purpose, but I wasn't clear yet. So I just had to take that money, because what I felt was 2 things. Number one, this is ministry. Number 2, this is reaching out. And number 3, this is business. So let me invest my money there. It is my money. It is for a worthy cause, and it will bring profit, I pray. So I put the money out, and the publisher did his bit. Yeah, so it was an interesting journey.
Okay, that is so interesting. And I've read your book and I loved it. I could not put it down, you know. It was a book I was reading, and when I get to where I'm going, I find a place to sit so that I can read it. I literally could not put it down because it's so interesting. I love the way you tell your stories. It is, I could feel myself in those situations you're in, you know, because you're a very, very good writer and you know how to use your words so well. It was just so nice, you know. And yes, I knew you tell stories and all, and you're good at speaking, but reading the book was a different experience, you know. It was experiencing you in a different way, and it was so inspiring and so touching. And I'm just so glad you finally got to write it and put it out there for us to enjoy and get inspired and learn from. And you said
Amazing.
that you just decided. Is there anything you can point out that made you go like, I'm going to write this book, no more procrastinating? Because there are so many people who are stuck at that stage. So many. I know someone who's written, what, over 200 pages of a novel. But it is just in a, yes, 200 pages. It is just in a Word document somewhere, and it is not out here, and it's such a deep, interesting novel. So what can you say made you stop procrastinating? How can such a person stop the procrastination and just say, I'm doing this, I'm publishing this book, I'm starting the process?
I think when we appreciate the fact that this is beyond you, this is about the many, you know, appreciating that this is not actually for you. Because sometimes I think there are times when we get into things with the mind, the first mind is the profits, and sometimes we miss it. There is the place of passion that meets with profits. So if the passion is there, you have the content. And someone once told me that as long as you can put your thoughts together, note them down. Don't put them in your head. Remove them from the head and just put them down. That is a step. And I'm glad, like you're saying, that person who has 200 pages, my goodness, I need to get in touch with them. I take them to a publisher because that is content that is decaying on the shelves. It needs to be out here. But I would say one thing that made me stop and just cut the procrastination is because like I told you, I would talk about this in different forums, and the impact was big than I expected. It was much bigger. And I was looking at it and I said, okay, young lady, why wouldn't you put this in a book again? Why wouldn't you publish this? Your story is out anyway. It's just that it's not with the whole world, but it's out anyway. And the impact is good. Many people are being helped. How many more will you reach? Because a book reaches farther than we would reach as individuals. So you realize that when you look at the bigger picture, look at the bigger picture and just get out and do it. And another thing is, of course, I think I'll share this as we go on, but when the book was out and the feedback I would get, I was like, well, just like what you're saying already, you're giving me feedback. I'm like, I am glad I took that step because it wasn't for me. So I think the place of a writer thinking, or of course, there's the place of ish, should I not? Is it time? Is it not time? I would say it is time the moment you start writing. It is time. So don't write and shelve it. Write and take it out there. And nowadays, it has been made more easy. I know of people who publish books and they remain as ebooks. They don't do the hard copy books. So if you don't feel like doing the hard copy, fine. But most important, as long as you started putting the thoughts down, it is time. So just get it and run with it. Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much. And I agree with you. I read somewhere that it is easier for you to do things when you think you're doing it for someone as opposed to when you think you're doing it for yourself. Yeah. So it really validates the point that you've said. You thought it's not just about me. Yeah. This book is for people out there, for lives to be changed, for people to be inspired, for the word of God to spread, you know, because your book is a spiritual book. Yeah. And for you being someone in the ministry, it was important to you that you let the word of God go out there. You let your testimony be out there.
Yep.
Yeah, so okay, thank you for that. Yeah, and I hope those who are stuck at the stage of do I not, should I, maybe, I'm not sure, I hope this will help them just move and realize that it is not just about you. Your gift is not just for you. Yeah, your gift is for everybody else. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. So how did you come up with the title and the theme? I know I've already leaked and said your book is a spiritual book, but how did you come up with the title and the theme?
Well, those that know me know that one of my favorite hashtags, I call myself a storyteller. I know, I love stories. Oh my God, I love stories. I can talk and talk and talk about everything and anything. So I am a storyteller. And I remember when, of course, I had already been thinking about the book, but I had to think about, of course, the title. So it took a while. I didn't just want any title because it was easy for me, for example, to write Nashami's Chronicles as a title. And it would have been good, you know. But I looked at it because looking at my story is basically connecting with people that go through stuff, go through struggles, addictions, loss, and so much, and how God just changes that and brings out a better them, you know, talking of a story from the point of a victim to the point of a victor. So when I looked at the entire thing, I said, you know, when I am telling this, it is for the purpose that people may see God in my story. It's not that people may see a strong me per se, because as Nashami, I wouldn't have. This girl wasn't as strong. No, she was the weakest of them all. But it is God that helped me through it all. So I said, I want to point people to God through this story. I don't want them to end up with me. I don't want people to start saying, I want to be like her. No, I want people to say, I want her God, because that is all they will see. And that inspired the title so easily, My Story for His Glory, because I am telling it that He may be glorified and many more may turn to Him, because it is Him that takes care of us. So just comparing the aspects of it is a true story, it's not fiction, and it is pointing people to the source, the person that changed the whole game. So that is why it was easy for me now to switch from the likes of Nashami's Chronicles, because Nashami's Chronicles would have pointed people to me. I mean, they would have seen me through the story, and it would have been some humorous journey or sad journey or whatever journey. But now My Story for His Glory was perfect for me, because that was my aim, and that was my purpose, that this entire story is to point people to God, not to any human. And I am glad. I love that title. I think it's the best title I've ever seen.
Okay, all right. So, and it still emphasizes the point that you did not want to make it about you. You wanted to make it about a higher purpose, a higher reason. And I think that even gave you more strength when you're having those days of, today I don't feel like opening that laptop, or today I don't feel like doing anything to do with it. But since you know it's for a higher purpose, since you know it's for something that means a lot to you, then it must have made the process a little bit easier.
Yeah.
Okay. So thank you for telling us how you came up with the theme and the title. What was the publishing process? Because I know that's another very important aspect when it comes to writing and putting the book out there. Many people get discouraged at that point, yeah? When they can't find a publisher, they don't know where to find a publisher. I know you've mentioned how you came across your publisher, but before that, what was the process before actually finding someone you could work with?
Well, I was guided by my friend. I remember when I was done with the manuscript, I told her, we can now give it to the publisher. And she said, no, I'm so grateful for that lady. She's called Mukami. She really helped me. So she told me, before you give it to the publisher, I need you to share this manuscript with at least 3 or 4 people, just share with them, let them read, let them give you their feedback, because it will be important. So I had to do that. I had to find at least 4 or 5 people. I shared the manuscript. They went through it, and it turned good, because I think there is one of the chapters that I thought I put out everything, but a friend of mine was like, I think, you see this particular part, open us to it. Give the details here. I think it would be important, So giving it out to people to go through it helped me. And it is very important, because sometimes you might think you have exhausted. And one thing I've been taught by my publisher, and even reading from other forums, is that when you are writing, ensure you exhaust. Don't leave people to fill in the blanks. No, you fill in the blanks. We are reading from you. So fill all the blanks. Don't put, unless you're writing a book that ends in a suspense, that one would leave us at the suspense point waiting for the next one. But if you're sharing something, just exhaust it so that we don't need to ask, okay, what happened here? Why did this happen? Don't allow your reader to have those questions. So I remember that those people helped me because they would point out 1 and 2 things and I would expound them more. And that is one thing they really helped. So of course, now after that, and we had settled with the publisher that I'm going to work with him. So I forwarded the manuscript to him and he began the process, the book development process, because now that is his part. All the proofing, all the editing, you know, and going through all that entire content before they would get down to do the laying and the designing and all that. And of course, we were in communication because it's not like once you have given them the book, you sit down and wait for the book. You could be surprised at the end of the day because a good publisher will ensure they don't mess your story or your book. They have the room to help you maybe in editing, in grammatical arrangement of sentences, but not changing your story. Because I remember once all this was done, he would send me the final manuscript, the final edited work, so that I go through it first. And I went through the entire product and I was like, thank you for not changing anything. It is the same way I wanted it to turn out. But of course, with all that, and then there's the place of course, how you want your cover to be like, you know, all that. And then, you know, the acknowledgement part, all those 2 contents, back of the book, information about you, you know, you need to give all that info to them. They should not think, because sometimes you might find a publisher, maybe it's someone that knows you, you know, maybe you already know each other. But when you're putting that info down there, you have to be sure that is what you want. Because I might come down and say, Brenda Onyango, Kitui, counseling psychologist, and I leave it at that. And you're like, no, I am a lecturer too. I need that info. And I am pursuing this too. I need that info. So that communication between the writer, the author and the publisher is key because it helps you gather every information. And so by the end of it, when all was done, of course, he did a dummy copy for me now so that I'm confident because, man, these online things, you might look and say, yeah, I like it that way. And then when it comes, it's totally different. So I love the place that they allowed me to be at par and contented with everything that they were doing. So that back and forth. It didn't take so much. It took, I think, almost a month and a week, but it was too much back and forth. Like almost every day we'll be in touch or something like that. And then the content was ready and bingo, we were ready for the printouts and the copies came to me.
Wow. Okay. I think your publisher was a very good person because you didn't have a bad experience of him not doing what you don't want to do and all that. It was a smooth process.
Yeah.
So it's important that somebody just finds a good publisher who will listen to them, who will be cooperative. Yeah. Okay. So that's good. So now, since your book was out, it's been out for some time now. How were you planning to sell it, or how have you been selling it?
Good question. The first thing I did, of course, I had to do a book launch because number one, that helped many people come on board on the particular day. And so the first day the book is out, I made a good sell, I would say. So that book launch was necessary. And after that, I am one person that is very loud, especially on social media. I am extremely loud. So I said, I'm going to use social media as my marketing tool and I will use it fully. I remember I wanted to immediately take the books to a bookshop, but somebody told me, no, for the first phase, just do the sales yourself. Yeah, you can just be doing the distribution yourself before you can think about the bookshop part. So what I did, social media tool number one, if Brenda buys a book, I tell Brenda, please do a post about the same and tag me, you know. So every person would be an instrument, an ambassador of my story for his glory. So all over, there's a time I remember a friend of mine was like, I'm scrolling my timeline and almost 8 people are sharing your book. Why don't I have it? I need it, you know? So I really made use of social media very well. I didn't have an issue sending books wherever. Like if someone is outside Nairobi, all I had to do is to ensure I know all, and I mean all parcel delivery shuttles in the city. I know all of them now. And it will be so easy for me to get there and just, deliver and someone gets it and everything. And then at some point, I found a a pickup point in the CBD. So that if someone is in Nairobi, they don't have to be sent wherever or pay an extra for delivery. So that helped because people will do payment, go pick their book and go their way. And of course, even through social media, I managed to get that book to other parts of not just of Kenya, because I know of people in Rwanda who have the books, there's a friend who bought it from Ghana. He found someone who was in Kenya, Ghanaian. I had to connect with him and give him the book, and it went to Ghana. I know of people in the States, in Dubai, who have those books, and it's been courtesy of social media. Trust you me, it's the most powerful marketing tool in this generation, the most powerful. Facebook, Instagram, whichever that you will use, super powerful.
Yeah, I remember seeing you posting a parcel. You're saying, people in Uganda, get ready. The book is on the way. And I'm still taking more orders. Yeah, I remember seeing that post. Oh,
Because
nice.
it's an amazing tool. It's an amazing tool, and it really, really helped me big time.
That's really smart. That's really smart. Not going the typical way of a bookshop and waiting when the customer comes, but just making sure everyone out there already is aware of how to get your book.
Yeah.
Okay. So the next question I need to ask you is the big question.
Mental is human.